Alrighty, welcome back to Musical Connections. This is NextIIConnect. I'm your host, Zach Snow. Joining me right now are two members of one of the hottest rock bands here in Newfoundland and Labrador. They're up for an ECMA award for Rock Artist of the Year, and it was from their album The Way It Was Before, released back in 2022. And joining me right now are two of the members and co-lead vocalists of Fairgale. We got Stephen Green and Andrew Rodgers here with us. How are you doing, guys? Welcome to Musical Connections.
Doing great, man. What about yourself?
Yeah, great to be here, man.
And thanks so much for coming on. Congratulations again on your ECMA nomination.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you so much. And I believe for those who are going to be watching on YouTube as well, I want to get like a photo of us where we were doing the interview at Coffee Matters in 2015 for the Muse. There is a photo out there of the article that was there, but I just wanted to like get that photo of like from 2015 of like how it started versus how it's going, because like how it started was the three of us sitting down at Coffee Matters doing an interview for your first album that you put out in 2016 called Own the Light, and now we're here talking again about your ECMA nomination for the album that you put out a few years ago called The Way It Was Before.
Yeah, I mean, that interview we did, that was quite a while ago. I think it might have actually been 2014, was it? I'm not sure.
I think it was 15.
It's a bit of a blur. Yeah,
it was one of the last days of 2015.
Okay, yeah, that was that was probably the first interview we did.
So the album was out then, right? Yeah, you just.
I think it may have been.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like when I talk about that time span, it feels like a long time ago, and sometimes it feels like no time ago. But I don't remember exactly where we were. Fresh as a band though, like completely fresh.
You were babies.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
You were babies. And I was just a little baby interviewer, just trying to make my name in the music center. But I wasn't really I was only like covering art stories, and then was doing the usual mouth off, which is like you're going to the students and asking them like a question about university topics, and I was doing that for the longest time.
Okay.
But I've really started taking this music industry thing seriously in 2018, covering it with projects like the Celtic Wake Up, and also this podcast, which is now in its 68th episode by the time that this drops, which is insane to believe.
Wow, nice.
That is great, man.
Yeah, that's great, man. Absolutely.
Now, off the hop here, how does it feel to be up for an East Coast Music Award?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll talk about MusicNL later, but it's been a year of like things that we didn't expect. I don't know, like we always were in the awards cycle. We've had a few albums, and it's like you just go through the trenches. Awards are cool, but the moment like you actually get that nomination, especially ECMA. ECMA is like something that I always viewed as really cool. You watch ECMA when it was on TV when you were a kid, and I don't know, that one struck me really. A little different, I gotta say. It was cool to get that recognition for sure.
Yeah, like we always apply for all this stuff, of course, but you never really know what to expect. So it was a pleasant surprise for sure, and our first one. So yeah, it's been cool for sure.
Yeah, and you guys and myself here were we're a few of 52 nominees from this province. And when it comes to the amount of nominees this year, it has gone down slightly, but just that's because of the fact that some of the categories that were there previously aren't there anymore.
Okay.
And it's really great to see that. I mean, when you guys first put out that first album to where you are right now, like it took you really like 10 years to get that first ECMA nomination. So really, while like at the same time not getting those nominations back then was kind of like, a kick in the butt, getting this first one now is very rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we kind of, I think, just put our heads down and try to make the best music we can make. And if those things happen, like, we're obviously very grateful for that. And but yeah, it's music first, and if those things happen, great, and for sure.
I agree 100%. It was never a kick in the butt. It was just always like it's all opinions at the end of the day. But then I have to say, when you do get acknowledged, you do go, okay, this is pretty cool. I like this. You feel something.
For sure, yeah. It's cool, really cool to be acknowledged for something that you love to do, and I think we've also seen, especially on social media and just for some different conversations we've had with people, like I do feel like it gives you some form of validation in some people's eyes. Like I said, we just try to make the best music we can make, and those ECMA nominations and MusicNL awards and all that, it does help you get on some people's radars for sure. Absolutely,
100%.
Oh, totally. And especially like just you guys been up for a Rock Artist of the Year, and this was really again the first one that you guys won as the group. And I believe there was only 3 of you that night, and Brad was with Shani.
Brad, yeah.
the night you guys accepted Rock Artist of the Year?
Yeah, so Brad Tuck, our drummer, he plays with Shanny Gannock, and I don't know where. I think he was in Nova Scotia, or no, he was in Prince Edward Island, I think, that night. And,
It was a gig that got rescheduled previously because of was it a storm?
Snowstorm.
Oh, yeah,
or
it was a
yeah,
hurricane. I think it was another hurricane.
some serious weather situation.
I don't know if it was Fiona, but I doubt it was.
Yeah, but so it just so happened the reschedule landed right on the MusicNL week, so it was unfortunate that way. So.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys have really, emerged as one of the Newfoundland Labrador's best bands here over the past couple of years. But I want to go back to what really got you started into music in the first place. So what inspired you to pursue music as a long-time career?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I was really young, I lived with my grandparents for a period of time, and my mom's parents. And my grandfather, he played a lot of. He used to just play guitar all the time. Like he was just always doing it. And he'd wake up in the morning and play guitar, his old country and western songs. And as a kid, I think I just thought that everybody had that in their house. Like, I mean, you actually did, but yeah, I just thought everyone had some guy who played music, and I think that really, I think being exposed to music and seeing someone who loves it so much at such an early age, I think definitely had a lasting impression on me for sure. I think that was probably the biggest influence. Like, yeah, and I mean, then there was tons of bands over the years that influenced me, but. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get to what Stephen, what you're going to say about what inspired you to pursue music, you talk about your grandfather, and you recently, Chris Kiersey,
Yeah.
who's a guitar repairman. I don't know what the official title for that is,
Yeah,
but he's got his own repair shop that he repairs guitars,
Yeah.
and he repaired that old guitar that was like really in shatters.
Yeah,
well, not
it
really
was.
like in shatters,
It
but like
was.
it's seen its day.
It was. I mean, I think you're right. Yeah, it was. I jokingly say that I brought him a load of splits, so and he turned it into a guitar. It was in hard shape. So just to give a little context around the guitar, I don't really know what year it was. I think it was. I think the guitar may be from the like early '40s. It's hard to say. It's an SS Stewart. I guess it would have been ordered from a catalog at that time. It was really busted up. It was my grandfather's first guitar, and it took about a year and a half, and Chris is an absolute wizard and an absolute legend in what he does, and I still don't really understand how he got it to where it was. He explained it to me, but it's just like, I don't know, man. He's incredibly talented at what he does.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Chris, if you're watching this, I got to get you on the podcast sometime to talk about how you repaired that guitar and other guitars as well. Now, of course, Stephen, I want to go to you because, of course, what inspired you to pursue music yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I always loved music, but I picked up the guitar when I was like 12 or 13, and a big part of what I was doing back then was like, my dad was a great singer-songwriter in his own right, and also had I had a circle of friends that was like really musical, so I used to jam with them a lot, like at like house parties, kitchen parties over Christmas, and it was just a really cool learning curve. Again, the difference between me and Andrew is he didn't have a lot of it in his house, but he had a friends group. I had nobody in my friends group that played at all. So I ended up playing with my dad's friends more than anything. And but the big thing was, so yeah, it came time to go to university, and I was very musical, but I was also into like graphic design, media design, animation, and it was kind of a coin flip which way I was going to go, whether it was more the graphic media side or the music side. And my dad, who always wished he pursued music more, kind of nudged me more that way and was willing to pay for my university to go through. Mom and Dad both are super big supporters, but Dad always had that little extra. I think he lived vicariously through me a little bit, so that was kind of what pushed me over the edge to pursue music in university. And then, I mean, came back to St. John's, lived the life, played in the bars, met a lot of people, and here we are today.
Yeah, and one of those people that you ended up meeting was, of course, three of them were Andrew Rodgers, Gary Powers, and Brad Tuck. And I'm going to go to you, Andrew, for this next one. How did you guys, yourself, Brad and Gary, all come together to, end up forming this, like the, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but like, the nucleus of what would end up becoming Fairgale? Yeah,
I mean, I think Stephen's path and our path eventually merged along the way, but early on, I moved to a town called Hants Harbor in Trinity Bay in grade 2, and I became really good friends with Brad Tuck. Not a whole lot after moving there, and we bonded over hockey and playing road hockey and all that sort of stuff. But Brad was always a musical kid. He started playing guitar when he was like 5 years old, I think, and he started getting into some heavier music. And Iron Maiden was a band that we both got into. And I started playing guitar at 14. Brad showed me like my first chord, and I went home all excited and asked my parents for an electric guitar for Christmas. And so then myself and Brad started jamming together with some other people from the community. We had luckily in a small town, we actually had 4 people in that town who played music, and we formed a band. There came a point where we needed a bass player, and Gary was playing in a band in Winterton, just one town up. A band that covered like Rage Against the Machine and Blink-182 and Guns N' Roses and all that sort of stuff. And they were a band called No Refunds. And when we reached out, Gary joined up, and 3 of us started playing together when I was like 14 or 15. So I'm 34 now, so about 20 years.
Wow.
I guess we've been playing together now. And we were part of a songwriting competition at Whalen's Pub. Is that what it was called?
That's it.
And Steven was there, and I just remember thinking that in my mind, I thought he stood out. I thought he was, his songs were really cool. And so over time we started talking back and forth on Facebook and so on and so forth. And the Rob Roy reached out to Steven at one point. Steven wasn't playing there very much at that time, and Hilda, the manager, went down through a list of contacts that she had, and Steven said yes, but she wanted a duo. And Steven asked a bunch of friends who couldn't make it.
And Hilda in this case be Hilda Coffee, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So what about how'd you end up meeting these guys?
So it really was that songwriting competition, which was my first introduction. And like my perspective was like, I remember thinking like, these guys are cool. I remember Andrew's vocal really stood out in that songwriting competition. They were the only ones that showed up there that were a band. Everything else was like acoustic guitar and
That's right. Yeah.
It's true. They were
Like,
rock
okay,
band.
this doesn't work. This doesn't work. This doesn't work.
Oh, I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying it was a singer-songwriter competition, but bands were invited, and they were the only ones that showed up in a band
we were the only
format.
ones. Yeah.
I don't remember any.
I
other
don't think
band.
there were any other ones.
I don't think so. Andrew's vocal. The songs are cool, but Andrew's vocal always stood out to me. And
Songs weren't that good.
Hey, listen, everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
do we have them anywhere? We should do a before and after on Zach's show or something. Like,
Oh, listen, you won't like the view. I'll tell you that much. The before, yikes. Anyways.
Yeah. But I mean, it just happened organically. Like we just got together after the Rob Roy thing, started just jamming, trying to write songs, and things just went from there. I mean, the story where I went to the apartment or your guys' house that time.
Yeah, because there was a period where myself, Brad, and Gary were living together, and Steven came over. We might have hung out a couple times at that point, and we just had like a rehearsal space set up in the basement. And I remember the first song we played was Butterverve, Bittersweet Symphony. And I remember just thinking that for whatever reason, we had chemistry, 4 people that just started playing together in that instant. And, even when you have great musicians, sometimes it doesn't necessarily always click. And I just felt like we had something cool going on. And eventually we formed a band, Fairgale, and, here we are.
Yeah, and you say on your website at fairgale.com that some of the influences of your band, like you really take inspirations of, especially the harmonies of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then you also have some sounds from like the Kings of Leon. And so I just want to go further into what are some of the influences that make up Fairgale sound?
Yeah, I think it's kind of all over the place. Like I said, I started playing like heavier music, like myself, Brad, and Gary, and over time it's turned into like rock and classic rock, and I've been into folk and like Americana music over time. Steven is, I think we have a lot of similar influences. I think you have some that I don't know, like is mostly common ground.
There's
I think
crossover, but a few little nuances differently for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like some of them, one of them is someone who has a really huge cult following. Like I only really heard of him until after his passing, John Prine.
Yeah. So the thing with John Prine is when I talk about playing with my dad's friends, I have one of Dad's friends who I play with almost exclusively, and he almost exclusively played John Prine songs. So I heard most John Prine songs without ever hearing John Prine's records. I only discovered them when I was older, but like I became a fan of the songs through that format or whatever. So, but the other thing for me, like I love like Brit pop rock, so like the Coldplays, the Oasises,
I love all that
Keane,
stuff too.
Travis, David Gray. I mean, it's a mismatch. I really, when I say this, like, I love so many genres and so many songs. It's hard for me to just pinpoint anything, but you just try to glue all that together and put your own kind of twist on it, I guess.
Yeah, and you guys were like, I think when we were talking about this off the air here, the band originally wasn't really called Fairgale. It was something you're working on the side, but you guys all played in a cover band called, what was the name? Red
Plains.
Red Plains.
Yeah.
And that would really end up leading to getting the opportunity to open up for Trooper. And it was part of like a Battle of the Bands thing called Rock the Block, which I don't think happens anymore during George Street Festival.
I don't think
time.
so.
So you ended up opening up for Trooper, and you do have one of their songs recorded called We're Here for a Good Time. Because whenever you hear We're Here for a Good Time, you hear very upbeat stuff, but you really stripped it down and just played it all on piano and just the 3-part harmonies that you guys are really synonymous for. So how did you get that opportunity? Just go a little bit further into the opportunity to open up for Trooper.
Yeah, like you said, there was a contest called Rock the Block. The winner got the chance to open for Trooper. I think in the second round of voting, we were looking for ways to try to get some more votes, and we decided that we should do a cover of Here for a Good Time and a stripped-down ballad version. And we knew there was a piano at the airport that I think the Newfoundland Arts Council, I believe.
Yeah, Arts NL, I think.
Was it Arts NL? Okay.
I think it was Arts NL.
Put up there, and we went up and just did a stripped down version of it. And put it out. Didn't have any real expectations, hoping it was going to help us. And it just got shared like a lot, and we were doing like interviews with the news and everything. Like it really took off for us.
Yeah, and it was our first like brush of anything close to like viral. Again, not like we were like Justin Bieber level viral or anything,
but it struck a chord.
It struck a chord, and we started seeing organic response. And then within 24 hours of posting this airport video, like management from Trooper got in touch with us, going, "Guys, we really love this. Whether you win or not, we want you to start Trooper's set, your version of the song." Then they came out with a public endorsement of us saying that they love the cover, and that kind of like put the votes over the top, and then we ended up winning. So we opened for them, but also got to start their set with the song.
That is absolutely wonderful. And what was that feeling like, Andrew, to have Rob McGuire come around, put his arm around you and sing backups to We're Here for a Good Time? Like, what was that like for you, and especially yourself, Stephen, to have Trooper come out and sing that with you? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was incredibly cool. I mean, like at that time, we didn't have any music released, so we were pretty fresh at it. And
you were babies.
Yeah, we were babies. And to have someone, in a band like Trooper, who's known nationally here as a household name, to take you in and just embrace us and be super nice to us like that, and to come out and sing with us, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. I can't say enough good about those guys. Super nice guys.
100%.
Yeah, and of course, you really rode that momentum into releasing your first album, Own the Light. And 2016 ended up being another big year for you. You ended up recording some Sam Neill sessions with James Dupre. Now, he's a singer-songwriter who ended up becoming big on The Voice. And the Sam Neill sessions is the brainchild of Dave Carew. So how did you guys get involved, playing with James Dupre?
Yeah, I knew Dave a little bit. I released a solo album before Fairgale was a thing, or kind of crossed over a little bit. And Dave liked my solo album. I got talking to him. Then he started following Fairgale. He brought James in a couple times into like some concert promotion type stuff. James Dupre came in, and he was like, "Do you want to do some videos with James? We're trying to get some social media material for him." And we're like, "Yeah, let's do that." It was foreign to us. It was country music. Yeah, exactly. Not something we'd ever done, but.
Yeah, it's outside your comfort zone from the rock and pop you're used to.
It is. I mean, again, I'd like to think that we're well-rounded musicians, but same time, it's not something we're regularly playing either. Like,
no, and I learned a lot from that experience. Like, it forced you into, we wanted to do the songs justice. I remember like really taking time to learn all the parts and, to try to replicate these Nashville players. I think that's where he recorded the album. Yeah. But you know, it was no easy feat, and we tried our best, and it was definitely a a learning experience for sure. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And from speaking of those genres like country and folk and stuff, you managed to open up for some of music's biggest names in many genres. Now, you've opened up for the likes of Sun Real and Coleman Hell. You've opened up for the Eric Kells last year at Iceberg Alley Performance Tent. You opened up for Melissa Etheridge during that COVID/Hurricane Larry Iceberg Alley Performance Tent. Remember when
that was
the tent blew away?
That was the night we played, opened up for Melissa Etheridge. The next day, the tent was destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty insane. And you also opened up for Sloan and Blue Rodeo. Now, of course, without really getting too deep into things, because opening up for all these guys is an honor in itself. What has personally been your favorite act to open up for, and why?
Yeah, tough question to answer, and I could be super diplomatic. I will say, I grew up listening to Blue Rodeo. Everybody says, "Oh, Blue Rodeo's here every year." Yeah, they are. They're here every year because Newfoundlanders love Blue Rodeo,
yeah.
and I was one of them. I truly was. Dad had a bunch of their CDs and tapes, cassettes, if anybody remembers those things. And yeah, I remember listening to the greatest hits of Blue Rodeo back to back to back to back to back. So for me, that was a little bit of a personal honor. But everybody else was super cool. We got to meet Max from the Arkells last time at Iceberg Alley. I'm a big fan of them. I think they're doing really cool stuff. And he was super cool. Lights was there. That was all great. So favorite, hard to pinpoint, but there's definitely been some highlights along the way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's gonna be hard to pick a favorite, but anytime you get an opportunity to open for or to share a stage with a band or acts of that stature, it's just an honor. And I understand that not everybody who's ever pursued music ever gets those opportunities. So very grateful anytime I'm standing on a stage with those people for sure.
Oh yeah, I believe 2018 was when you, opened for Sun Real and Coleman Hell. And 2018 was also a big year for you. You just came out with the release of your second album, Pillars. And one of the songs that really struck a chord with a lot of people was Bad Reputation. So it ended up becoming a number one on the East Coast Countdown out in Nova Scotia. Martin Hickey in the crowd out there at CIOE, 97.5 out there. And it was also part of the first round of voting for the CBC Searchlight competition that year. So What was that feeling like to have, a song that really resonated with so much people? And did you feel like that was the moment where you felt like you guys are really creating something special?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're always just trying to create the best music that we can, and it's hard to predict how people are gonna react to your music. You just try to do something that inspires. We try to release things that inspire us and hope that it catches on with some other people. And for whatever reason, with Bad Reputation, we definitely noticed an uptick in people's interest in that. And as you mentioned, we were playing in a cover band for quite some time, Red Plains. People would occasionally ask us to play that song, and that was really the first time that people were coming up to us and asking us to play our own music. So that was definitely super cool.
Yeah, in a bar where they were expecting to hear the hits, So we were getting requests for our music at a bar where people dance. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's really the most rewarding feeling, because you can hear Wagon Wheel, you can hear In Spite of Ourselves, you can hear Bees Wing over and over and over. To get someone requesting your own music, that must be the most rewarding feeling of them all.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I feel like I live to create, and music just happens to be that thing that I went towards or moved towards. And to get together and to pull that out of the air and create a song somehow and to put it out there, and then somebody hears it somewhere and likes it enough to walk up to you and be like, "Hey man, can you play that song?" Yeah, it's the coolest thing ever, for sure.
It is.
Yeah, and Bad Reputation still is one of your most signature tunes, and you also released Liza and What Doesn't Kill Us Makes Us Stronger. So Liza came out just before COVID, and then during COVID was when What Doesn't Kill Us Makes Us Stronger. And COVID really ended up influencing what would end up becoming your third album, The Way It Was Before. So you recorded some bits of it in your home studios before you ended up working in the studio with Robert Kelly on this. So what do you remember most about recording The Way It Was Before?
Yeah, I remember, obviously we were all locked up at that time, and unfortunately we were forced to start recording on our own and trying to push forward that way. And we were coming up with a lot of cool stuff, and we were definitely happy with what we came up with. And self-producing comes with its challenges. Sometimes sometimes it's nice to have that other person to push you and nudge you and get you moving again when you're in a lull, and which is why we moved into the studio with Robert partway through, and he definitely took it to a place that we wouldn't have on our own for sure, and we're very happy with what how it all turned out for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm a big proponent of like remote work. I work an office job and administration work. You can do it at home, but being creatives, like
tough.
being in the same room together, you feed off the energy. It's a real thing, and we definitely were missing that. I still think we came up with some of our cooler stuff, and it worked. Like I'm not saying that, but definitely to be able to get together in the room towards the end really took it over the finish line. And I think that was in my opinion, front to back, that's our best album. So
I agree.
It worked out that way. But yeah, it was a bit of a ride with COVID involved for sure.
Yes, fine. Going back to Bad Reputation for a moment, that song initially wasn't going to be on Pillars, I believe?
Yeah, that's correct. We just had like a recording of a melody. So what happened was I bought a guitar, I bought a Gibson Firebird. Still have it, love the guitar. Steven picked it up in the place where we were rehearsing at that time, and he just started playing through this like riff. I just started mumbling a melody and started saying Bad Reputation, and we thought it was cool and just kind of put it in our back pocket, and probably for a couple of years. I don't know how long we had it. And
it was a while. It wasn't like
a while, yeah.
it was well before we started recording the album. Like it was from a jam, and then like
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that with the Firebird. We had this like really loose voice memo, and Brad went back through the archives and was like, I really like that chorus. Like we should try to finish this. Anyway.
We sat around, four of us, and wrote the song, and we should probably do that more often because
do
we're doing it now, though. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really was a little song that could, and still right now is like one of your most streamed songs on Spotify or Apple Music.
It is,
no matter where you look. Yeah. Now, of course, the way it was before ended up netting you your first MusicNL award for Rock Artist of the Year, and you're also up for an ECMA this year for the same category. I know you guys really don't get like hyped up, or you don't take them like too seriously. Like it's great to get acknowledged, it's great to get nominated, but there must have been a very gratifying and rewarding feeling to receive that first MusicNL award. So what went through your mind that night when you heard your name?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I'll just say, like, anytime you get acknowledged for doing something we love, and in our case, it's music, it's a great feeling that other people, vote for you or however you get to that point. But, yeah, like, to win the first one was super cool, like, definitely. And it was a moment, for me, it was a moment to kind of just pause and just think about the path up until that point, and just be grateful for the opportunities that we were given, and it was super fun time, and we were very happy to win that for sure.
Yeah, I mean what you said is true. I mean, awards, you don't create music to win awards, or that's not why we do it. You create music for the love of what you do and to get better, and it's to push yourself creatively. So with that said, like having that attitude, actually to win that award that night was very special. When you get acknowledged for it, there's a feeling that you get that it's really hard to explain. I mean, you've felt it yourself. You want to.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but to get it, and I don't even know if I expected to feel that way. And then the other cool thing about it was after we won, we put up the Facebook post, and like we got like the engagement on it was crazy. We have over 1,000 likes on Facebook, I think it was. Or
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I shared that and also commented on it.
It was, and the reason and why I'm bringing that up is just because clearly us winning also resonated with a lot of people that followed us along all these years, So
yeah.
And I guess that's the really cool part about it is like, you're getting a spotlight in that moment in time for everything you've done and how far you've come. So it was cool, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And like nominations are what they are. It is what it is. But if you do happen to lose on it, there's a little bit of a sting there in a way. But still getting nominations at all is great, and it did feel very rewarding when I received the Media Person of the Year, and also yourselves for Rock Artist of the Year. But once again, as you guys have just said, you don't make music for the fact to win awards. You make it's just because that's what you love to do the most, and that's what you excel at best.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, of course, what else is next for you guys? Because, of course, you're going to be playing the Somo Festival in PEI coming up September 12th to the 13th. I would imagine you're going to be at the ECMAs in Charlottetown May 1st to the 5th. Yep. What else is next for Fairgale?
Yeah, we just started getting together again to come up with some new ideas, and we got a couple songs started. So we're really fresh into our fourth album, I guess. You know, we're just starting that process, just cracking it, and we're having a lot of fun getting together and creating music again. And like we said, you know, that's what it's all about, just trying to create the best music we can. And yeah, so down the road we will have another album. We're ways off that yet, but definitely follow along for sure.
Yeah, I echo that.
So on that note, how do you feel about the music industry of Newfoundland and Labrador right now? I mean, of course, with the upcoming East Coast Music Awards, people from this province have 52 nominations. How do you feel about Newfoundland and Labrador music right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. I feel like we have a stereotype here, a good stereotype that there's tons of music, live music, and there's tons of talent. And I think that's a great thing to be recognized for. In Newfoundland, you know, we're definitely known for traditional music, and we have an amazing scene, you know, in that genre for sure. But there's also quite a diverse collection of all kinds of stuff going on here, man. Everything from rock and metal and hip hop and so on. Like, there's a lot going on here for sure. Yeah, it's nice to see some folks getting recognized at the ECMA level for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of friends, and we're happy anytime they show success. But some of the coolest things at these music conferences is like you get to hang out with a bunch of musicians in one place for a full weekend, which we don't always get to do because everybody's living their lives either on the road or I always say in the music business, you're in the Friday and Saturday business. So like generally speaking, somebody's doing something on Friday and Saturday. But when you force people to get together, whether it's the MusicNL conference or the ECMAs, for me, I think that's actually my favorite part about any of those conferences is that camaraderie and that networking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the most recent one, I had pretty much had the most fun time. I mean, of course, I took home Media Person of the Year, but just to see how much our industry has grown over the past few years coming out of COVID, getting to hang out with them and seeing how good they are, how they're killing it right now, and especially you guys included. I can't really talk about that right now, but it goes to say, I'm at a loss for words on the amount of talent that we have here. But it really just goes to show, too, you could say that there's great music here, but actually being a part of it and then saying that there is two completely different things.
For sure.
And we're going to get to one of your songs in just a moment here on NextIIConnect. But for people who want to find out more about what Fairgale's got coming up when it comes to new tunes, new shows that have yet to be announced, and everything Fairgale, where can it go?
We're most active on Facebook and Instagram, so that's facebook.com/Fairgale. Instagram is @Fairgale Music, and you can always check in on our website at fairgale.com.
Well, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the Musical Connections podcast. I mean, from when we did that initial interview at Coffee Matters for the Muse in 2015, it's crazy to believe that 9 years has really flown by, and look at us now, we both got awards to our names, and we're really part of something really special here. And our music industry, I said this during the speech when I took home that award that night, our music industry is as strong as it's ever been, and it's thanks to people like yourselves and to the many other professionals that make it happen. So Andrew Rodgers and Stephen Green at Fairgale, thank you so much for joining me on Musical Connections. All the best to you in the year ahead, and congratulations again on your ECMA nomination for Rock Artist of the Year.
Thank you very much, Zach. Yeah, congrats to you as well.
Yeah, major kudos to you, man. You're killing it online. You're killing it with the podcast. Whatever you're doing, you've grown so much. So big ups to you, man.
Oh, definitely. Man. I've been doing media for almost a decade, and I've really been covering this for almost 6 years, and I still don't know what I'm doing.
The secret is nobody does.
No one will know.
Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all learning and growing, dude.
Listen, it's fake until you make it, hey?
Yeah.
Andrew, Stephen, thanks again, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Zach.